Hi guys, this is Kishor. Welcome to the first episode of the Social Nest with Kishor podcast. Um, this is our first episode, so I'm a little bit nervous as well. So hopefully everything goes well. Wish me all the best. On our very first episode, we have a very well-known person on the Gold Coast, living here for about 17, 18 years. A family guy, entrepreneur, and been involved in a lot of social work as well. It's none other than Mr. Prashun Kumar Upadhyay. Welcome to the show, Dai.
Thank you for having me here, and it's a pleasure being here. Many congratulations for your new venture,
Thank you.
and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Dai. So obviously you've been on the Gold Coast for 17 years. Obviously you are more senior, as in terms of how long you've been on the coast. Tell us how the journey started to come to Australia.
Um, the journey started as it would start for any other person.
Yeah.
I came in as a student. I was really fortunate that there were people before me who had come to Gold Coast, and through their help, I was able to get work,
Yes.
accommodation,
Yes.
food, and everything else that you could wish for. I was fortunate to go to a university that was very good
Yeah.
in terms not just of studies but also with people and teacher.
Yeah.
And I was also, so it all fell down into places. Like I was really fortunate to be surrounded by a group of people who were there for me at that period.
Yeah. You didn't have many people on the coast by the time, didn't you?
I was probably the third person from Nepal in Gold
Okay.
Coast. There were two people. There was Sangeeta Didi, who was here before me.
Yeah.
She came here 1 year before me.
Yeah.
And then Gyanu Didi, who's now moved to Melbourne.
Yeah.
She doesn't live in Gold Coast anymore. And after that, when I came in, I landed on 14th of July 2014.
Wow. Okay.
I landed in Australia.
Yeah. So when you arrived, did you have someone to pick you up, or you just how did you
Actually,
manage
it's a
it?
very interesting story. I was, back then there was no internet. There used to be emails, but
Yeah.
they weren't as efficient as they are now.
Yeah.
So I used to communicate with Gyanu Didi and Sangeeta Didi via emails. So I came to Australia via interface,
Yeah.
and Gyanu Didi and Sangeeta Didi had come to Australia
Yeah.
via interface as well.
Yeah.
And when I came here, before I came here, they were kind enough to give me Gyanu Didi's email address.
Yeah. Right.
But the day when I landed in Australia, I was supposed to be staying with Sangeeta Didi in her
Yeah.
shared accommodation, but she had to go to work.
Cool.
She then got somebody to pick me up,
Yeah.
and they were very nice people from Sydney
Yeah. Right.
who took me around. That was the first time I went to a fast food restaurant in Australia.
Yeah.
They fed me quite well, and they pretty much made me feel like home.
Yeah.
And there were no phone systems. We didn't have Skype back then.
Oh yeah.
So it was actually on my third day
Yeah.
that I got the opportunity to call back home and speak with my mother.
Yeah. Right. So you must be finding a lot of difference back then till now.
Yes, of course. I mean, because I come from technological background, there's lots of changes technology-wise.
Yeah.
Even up to say 2008, community-wise, we only had say 40 Nepalese people,
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
and we could count heads.
Yes.
And everybody, we used to gather in the park. After that, I lost count because so many people came in and everything changed. But yeah, a few things have changed. Transportation has been really good.
Yeah.
I remember we only had 53 buses
Wow.
operating in Gold Coast, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Right.
And it's now just grown maybe 10 times more. And then there's other transportation used to be one big issue. That's why we had to live very close to the university.
Yes.
And most of the work was around Surfers Paradise back then.
Yeah.
Then they started constructing Rubina as the business hub. It was a gradual process, but now that I look back,
Yeah.
I can see that lots has changed.
Did you have any like struggle period? You know, like you come to Australia, the first thing is you need to find a job, and you know.
Yes and no. So there are some funny stories. So I did work in few different places.
Yeah.
Everybody was pretty much starting. There was nobody who could say I've been here for a few years. So I went to McDonald's again. There was a guy I met who's still my friend, and he let me in.
Yeah.
And then I used to work night shifts.
Yeah.
Struggle in the sense it was difficult to find work because most of the work was concentrated around Surfers Paradise.
Yes.
And also because we are not used to doing such jobs back home, it made it even worse. So I changed a few jobs. I went to a telemarketing company, but then even there, it was not as easy as it seemed from outside. I could probably go there and work there now, but back in the day, it was difficult because lots of people, we were not trained to begin with, and they hated people calling them after office hours.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the response that we might have been getting.
True. So now you have your own company. Just tell us a little bit what you do and.
Okay, so we started. I've always been in IT.
Yeah.
I did my master's from Griffith University. I completed that in 2006.
Yeah.
Since then, I worked for various organizations in IT.
Yeah.
Primarily focusing on web systems and services, and a little bit towards security.
Yeah.
I went freelance in 2011, and it was a natural progression. From freelance to owning your own company.
Yeah.
And then we started My Cisco ICT in 2019. I started with that. I joined hands with a guy I knew for a long time, Nick, and we formed this company. We have our own skill sets.
Yeah.
So so far it's worked out really well.
Oh, good. So you have your own company. It's called My Cisco System.
My Cisco ICT.
My Cisco ICT is based on Gold Coast.
Yes. So we have a branch in Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Our main office is in Gold Coast, but we also have a branch in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And most of our operational jobs happen from Brisbane.
Yeah.
And most of our development works happens from Gold Coast.
Yeah. Right. So I know you for since 2008. I know you've helped and support us personally, myself, in a different part of the life. I see you as a very genuine person as well, and you've been a part of the community service like social works and everything. So are you still engaged with the social work and in side by side?
I'd like to thank you first by, I would say, our personal bondage has actually grown.
Yeah.
The day I met you, we got closer after that unfortunate event that happened. But see, everything happens. I think everything has its own time. So I was fortunate that I was capable enough.
You're the founder person of the Nepalese community Gold Coast area.
Yes, one of the.
One of them.
So along with other people. So this was the brainchild of Hum Mama, Dr. Hum Bahadur Gurum, and he was the founding president.
Yeah.
Few other people then, Sangeeta Didi,
Yes.
she was the vice president.
Yeah.
Then Mihir, he was the secretary. He was the finance guy, and I was the secretary. So it happened in a very small room because the community was really small, and that was the year when I think NAQ in Brisbane was also founded.
Okay.
We were also lucky to be there when NAQ was being, constructed. We were part of that meeting.
Yeah.
But Gold Coast community has always been smaller than Brisbane community. And
If you want to share something, or if what you can remember, do you have any funny story or something you can remember that is, that you can remember for a long time? What you'd like to share in terms anything, like eventually it's work or your daily life. You might have a lot of, but is there something that you want to share?
Quite a few. I have had some experiences of my own and some of other people that I've heard. Yeah. So my experience was while I was trying to find jobs, there were quite a few places where I left my resume and I was never being called. Yeah. And later, like probably a week later, I realized I've put my friend's phone number instead of my own.
Okay.
So that's one thing I learned never to do in your life again.
So he got the job?
So I'm not sure. I never asked him because I was very, because I didn't remember my number. Yeah. So, but I remembered his number. Yeah. So, but it never occurred to my mind that I'd done so.
All right.
And one of the incidents that has also happened is I had a few cousins who came in around 2008, and I took them around Surfers Paradise just to show them how it all works and how you should be submitting and all that. We didn't have much of internet systems back then, so everything was manual. So they had to print and then they did that. So I took two of them to a place to hand over their resume. Yeah. And what happened was one guy actually ran in front of the other and handed his resume to the manager. The second guy was very patient and he seemed not to be in rush and he handed over. Unfortunately for the first guy, what happened was his resume was, because the second guy handed over, the second guy's resume was on the top. So he was actually, he was ended up being called for the job rather than the first guy. And we had a hearty laugh after that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Can you remember how much was your first pay when you?
I do. I clearly do. My first pay for the week was, I think, around $320.
What did you felt after you got that money in your account?
Wow, that was the best feeling. Because then I started calculating how much I'd get if I worked full time. Because we were only allowed to work 20 hours. Yeah. And then Christmas was very close. Like Christmas was probably I'm talking about October. Okay. And December, I started calculating how much I'd end up getting in Christmas and. Then I started calculating how much should I be saving per week to pay my tuition fees. Yeah. But I was lucky, my brother who's in the United States, I never had to pay for first few tuition fees fully because he was looking after. So
Cool, so that's really good story. So what do you find yourself when you came in and from now? So what do you see the changes, people coming in now and back then? What's
I think the biggest change that I see is people are more prepared. Yeah. I mean, kids are smarter. Yeah. They have access to information before coming to here. Yeah. And they can reach the right people easily. Yeah. So they can say, for example, there's a community, they can send message and ask the right questions to the right people. Yeah. For us, I mean, that was a big challenge. We came to the unknown. Yeah. People are now coming to known, much more, I mean, in an environment which is much more comfortable. Yeah. And also what I've seen is they do many things that we should have done before coming here. Say they know driving, they are more confident. They have seen how the West works much better than how we had in our times.
Yeah. So definitely there are a lot of changes since 2004 when you came in. And now, so when you went on a university, you went on a Griffith, right?
Yes.
How many Nepalese did you find in there?
I would say probably five for that year, for 2004, and then we had a few after that. But I think what started happening after that was there were lots of little colleges who used to focus primarily on trade and
Yeah.
short-term courses,
Yeah.
and students started coming to those colleges
Yeah.
and enrolling to those colleges as opposed to enrolling in the universities. But
Yeah.
one of the main reasons I think is the university fees were lots higher. We paid back in the day per subject. We used to pay around between $2,000 to $2,500,
Yeah.
whereas you might end up paying lots lesser in the college.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how much it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think it was significantly lower.
Okay. So if you have to name the few people that that you are an inspiration or you learn something from them, whose name comes first in terms of when helping you or supporting you, or you have some inspiration from them?
Community-wise, quite a few.
Yeah.
Sangita Didi,
Yeah.
Home Mama, Naresh Tai.
Yes.
There are lots of people who are here, but I get inspiration from everybody. Like even yourself, for that matter. What you guys have done in the recent past for the community, and how much involvement you guys have within the community. That's just wonderful to see. And even in my friends circle, you get to learn every individual has a character. Every individual has a character. And because I don't have those characteristics, I tend to learn, I'm fortunate to learn so many good things from different people, different individuals. I'm lucky to have so many friends around me. I lived in a house with, we were 4 people sharing a house back in the day. And those 3 other people had become part of my family.
Yes.
Rishabh, Pranesh, and Hemdai.
Yeah.
They were different personalities, but I learned lots from them. I was fortunate because all of them had better cooking skills than I did. So I used to be fed like anything. But jokes apart, even my friends, for example, Mihir or Digambar or Sabi, different personalities. And the best thing was everybody was in a diversified environment, meaning their works were different, and their educations were different, and the people they met were different than I did. So we used to talk, we used to learn, share stories. Ganu Didi, who's moved to Melbourne, she's one of my inspirations, So I can't really pinpoint on who, but there are so many people even now, I'm constantly the biggest inspiration, I shouldn't miss this, because the biggest inspiration is not just inspiration, but the biggest help in my life is my wife at the moment. Family wise, my mother, she's been the rock. We lost our father at a pretty I was pretty young when I lost my father, and my mom became the rock of the family. She looked after us. I wouldn't have imagined a better upbringing than what she provided us with. My brother, who substituted my father,
his brother is in Australia, or
No, he's in the US. He also has an ICT background. He's the CTO of a company. And we talk every day. My mom, my brother, without any fail. My sister-in-law is she's like my own sister, their kids, even my own daughter, we call her Sani because she's the youngest.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There are lots of people, right? There are lots of people. From my family, there's one of my uncles, then my aunts, lots of people.
Great. So you might have something that, something that changed your life or changed your career, or some stage, your happiness has gone up on the moment. So is there anything that you want to share, that moment that you have created or has come up that changed your career life?
Yes, 3 to be precise. I remember that because I think of that every day, every week. So first, when my father, when my father expired, when he died, that was a life-changing experience because people then started substituting me for my father. So my role in the family grew. I mean, my responsibilities in the family grew.
Sure.
But then so did the responsibility of my mom and my brother. They were always there on top. But that was one life-changing moment. It shows you who are the people who really mean something in your life, and people who are not that. People who are not that of a use in your life.
Sure.
Then the second one was coming to Australia. I mean, I was the same person. Nothing had changed in me, not even my personality or the way I behaved, nothing in my education or knowledge. But the moment I landed in Australia, when I went back for the first time, the perception of people looking at me changes completely.
How many years after you went?
That was 2 years, just 2 years. I was the same guy. I hadn't actually done much in life then, rather than just studying in the university and completing my master's. But then the whole way people started looking at me was totally different, as if I came from a different planet.
Right.
But that made me also learn, things, the way people look at things are different, the way you present yourself. It changes the way you present yourself. The perception of people looking at you also changes.
Right.
So the third thing I would say is when I started working, I did work back in Nepal. But then the way we take work in Nepal is totally different to the way we take and accept work here. I mean, there's a cliche where people say no job is too small or too big, But I have actually, I've seen people implement that in a practical way here. In Nepal, when I was there, things might have changed now. It's been years. One quick thing is I've actually lived in Australia more than any other country.
Right.
So Nepal, I've also studied in India. So my thinking was different. So when I started work here, my whole thought process changed. So these 3 things have actually changed the way I've thought.
So when you graduated from the university, did you still used to work in IT or?
Yes. No, I was lucky because a friend of mine was working in the company, and he got me in straight away. And through that, I ended up getting my PR. So, but I was also I also had a side job at McDonald's.
Okay.
I used to work weekends. I didn't leave that for another year and a half because the start pay in the company I used to work was really minimal. So I needed to have a second job.
Okay. So I know there are a lot of students might be studying IT, and I know you're the IT experts. You're doing a lot of things. What do you think about the IT who is studying at the moment? Which paths should they? Do you think there's still potential for the IT students here, or what do you think yourself, opportunities wise?
See, bhai, as they say, chase the excellence. So if you are good at what you are doing, you might not have the experience, but if you have faith in yourself, if you are confident enough, I think any path in IT, because IT is really vast, and every day there are components that add up to IT. Sometimes we find it hard to catch up because things change every second, every minute. So even a university graduate now might have better knowledge than I do. Because they might have learned something that is modern and trending. So the only thing I would like to tell them is there are 3 phases in your life. First thing is to survive. When you come in as a student, so you see what's the best method of surviving, like I did or you did or anybody else did. Second thing is sustaining. Then you sustain. You just say, okay, I've got a job which feeds me. or feeds my family.
True.
Then the end would be trying to go for that success part. So survive, sustain, and success. I think if they follow that, I think everyone's going to be happy and successful.
I've known you for a long time, and I know you've been involved in a lot of community work, social work side as well. Do you want to say something about what you have done or what you might have been doing to help people in need or in terms of the community work side?
Sure, bhai. Unfortunately, due to lots of other commitments, I haven't been able to be as active as in the community as much as I'd like to be.
Yeah.
But then indirectly, we've been involved with lots of charities, with donations and sponsorships, and trying to help the greater community as much as we can.
Okay. So in terms of the social work or community work, so you must have some inspiration from somebody here or back in Nepal. Do you want to mention something about that?
Sure, bhai. I come from a village, now a town called Ramnagar.
Yeah.
And there are lots of families we are very close to. So again, there is a saying that you look for inspirations near you. There are lots of people in our village who've done lots of great things. Upadhyay from our village is here. We've been, family-wise, we've been very close. And similarly, there are lots of families that I'd like to thank, because if it was not for them, I would have not been here, or I would have not been where I am at the moment.
All right, we're almost coming to end of the show. Just want to ask you final questions. With your point of view, what do you think, what is the key to success? If it's a business or individual person, what do you define as?
To be true, if I knew how to be successful personally, or how to have a successful business, I would be the happiest person in the world.
You've been successful, right?
For me, the definition of success is a bit different. I would consider myself successfully if my business would run on its own. Okay. If I didn't have to put the effort that I'm putting at the moment, I'd consider my business to be a successful business. When my focus changes to establishing a new business, rather than trying to do the day-to-day operations running my current business, I would call it a successful business. But then to ask for the key to success in a business, probably you and me need to go and interview Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos.
I wish. Yeah, all right. So this is business point of view. So when you have to say someone like an individual person or who is studying and going to the university, he's been on that struggle period. Of course, everyone goes through that. What do you think the key to success to that individual person who is studying and trying to find the way to the life?
I think, based on my own experience, there's no shortcut to success. True. Success we might say financial success as the success, but success could also come in any different form or shape. Having a good relationship could also be a success. But I think the key to success, there are two keys to success: persistence and perseverance. And I also believe if you could add compassion, then overall the result that would come, or the output that would happen, would be successful.
Great. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time today, and I really appreciate it. Despite your busy schedule, you managed to give us a few minutes today. I hope today's episode was good for everyone. Been able to get some information about Prashun's side, and also his career side, and also he's obviously an inspiration to many of us. Thank you. Thanks for time.
Thank you so much, Kishor. One final word that I'd like to mention is, first of all, thanks to you, thanks to Real Hub, and thanks to the entire team. Amrit Bhai, thank you everybody for providing me with this opportunity. For the newcomers, what I would like to say is we or Kishor Bhai or anybody else, we were fortunate enough to be here before a newcomer.
Yeah.
And what you see, there's lots of hard work behind it.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you are doing, and eventually you'll reach your goals. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Right. Thank you very much. We'll catch you up on next podcast. I would like to thank Real Hub Property Solutions for the support and being able to be part of this podcast. Have a great day. See you next time.